Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another week of Good Guys Sports. Not just any week, though. As you can tell, if you're watching on YouTube, this is the Good Guys Sports Halloween special here. The day before Halloween, we are recording October 30th. Myself, your host and referee for the day. Personal fouls will be called today on my two guests here, Jackson Gerke, aka Minion Gerke, we call him, and Mike Roby, aka Woodstock. Lots of yellow here on Good Guy Sports in the costume, fellas. So I might have to call a personal foul for excessive yellow, but we'll see how the rest of the show goes.
No
Um,
red cards.
no, lots of yellow, no red, no red. That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, since last time we recorded on Good Guys Sports, that was just before game one of the World Series between the Los Angeles Dodgers and Toronto Blue Jays. And since then, we've had a lot of twists and turns in this series. As we stand today, Toronto, as of last night, up 3 games to 2 against the Dodgers, heading home for games 6 and 7 over the border in the old Maple Leaf country, isn't it? Up there in Toronto. So games 1 and 2 were about what I would expect a split. Toronto comes in with a lot of energy in game one, hits the cover off of the ball. The Dodgers rebound in game two. And then obviously game three is kind of the iconic game, if you will, so far in the series. 18 innings, Shohei Ohtani pitching, Shohei Ohtani hitting home runs, and the Dodgers pull out in that one. And I think, Mike, after that game, a lot of people said, okay, this is the Dodgers. They won an 18 inning slugfest. So now they're going to assert their dominance, take control of this series. But what we've seen in games 4 and 5 is that this Toronto lineup is not letting up, and the offense has been there this entire playoffs, and it's been no different in this World Series, right, Mike?
That's true. Actually, Otani pitched in game four,
Right, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So he
not in
pitched
game
the
three.
game
But in
after in the
game
18 inning.
three, he reached base the 9 times that he was up at bat.
Crazy.
It was crazy, but you know, the you got to hand it to the Blue Jays, and they are hitting. Dodgers are only hitting 214 in the series. So, I mean, Blue Jays have been awesome. Last night they came out and ambushed Snell.
Who he had a bit of a rough game one as well, didn't he? So
Yeah,
he's struggling massively with his Toronto
he's
lineup.
yeah. I mean, 3 pitches into the game, it's already 2-0 Toronto.
And obviously, compliments of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We have to give credit to him, right? He's had one heck of a postseason, right?
He has. I think he is like 4 home runs short of tying the record for the most home runs in postseason.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just other than Yamamoto in game two pitching a complete game and only allowing 1 run. Dodgers hadn't had a whole lot of highlights.
Well, they'll be happy to have him back on the bump for game six tomorrow, won't they? But
Hmm.
uh,
Yep.
Jackson, what do you made of this series so far? I mean, you must be impressed so far with what Toronto has been able to do, right?
Oh, absolutely. If you really think about it, the Blue Jays did it by pretty much dominating and just really putting the ball in play. They the Blue Jays are one of those teams that doesn't strike out a lot. They they hit the long ball and they score the most runs pretty much um, combined in the series. Dodgers, on the other hand, just kept just kept putting players on bases and for scores on run positions. Except, like Mike said, 2 for 14 with run positions, and they just get striked out a lot, and that's really the difference in that game. The Blue Jays, in large part, did it because of their young pitcher who was really
He was great
the
last night, wasn't
star
he?
player of the game. Oh yeah, definitely. He was by far
7 inch, I think it is, right?
yes,
Yeah, 7 innings.
and yes, and he by far was the player of the game last night, and that was really the difference in this game. So now the series shifts to Toronto. for the rest of the way. It would be the last game in Dodger Stadium this season. Now you turn yourself to Game 6 on Halloween night, and for games 2 and 7 on November 1st after that. So so now you so now that you're in Toronto, you take the Dodgers crowd out of it, and so all you can do for the Dodgers, for Dave Roberts, is that all you can do is try to force a Game 7 and see where it goes from here. But other than that, George Springer did not play in last night's game because he was injured and got hit by a pitch in Game 3 in that crazy game the night before. So I think if you get George Springer back and one of your young veteran youngster players in this lineup, then I think the Blue Jays have a shot and chance to close out the series, if not in Game 7. So listen, the crowd in Toronto Rogers Center is going to erupt and going to explode if they win the World Series at home for one of those games. And I think this crowd will be into it. Those Blue Jays players will be giving out those sweatshirts like they usually do whenever they score a lot of home runs and score the ball in play, like
Tuxedo, Canadian tuxedo.
Exactly. And like I said, the Blue Jays score a lot with the long ball and the ball in play, and they don't make too many mistakes.
If you can score, that helps.
The Dodgers so far have the series, and that was different. And
as simple as that, isn't it?
That's right. Very simple. And so to me, the keys for the Dodgers is to try to bounce back, force a Game 7. For the Blue Jays, just try to close it out and win your World Series title. Believe it or not, for the first time in 30 years, which was the year that I was born, on Halloween of 1993. Wow. I was a baby the last time the Blue Jays won a World Series title. So
what a year!
So someone's got to give. Oh yeah, it's crazy. Hard to believe after all these years later, back in the World Series, I would have ever dreamed of a Blue Jays World Series championship all these years later. The last time that they won the World Series, and it did came against
back to back.
Yeah, exactly. Back in 92, 93, and the 93 World Series came against my dad's Phillies, which
92 one came against my Braves too, by the way.
Yes, exactly. There you go. And so, but yeah, the 93 one, yeah, that one definitely came in my dad's heartbreak of the Phillies that year. So yeah, I'm sure he remembers it too well. But yeah, few keys is Dodgers have a chance. All you got to do is force a Game 7. If you're the Blue Jays, just try to score more runs and have a chance, and they'll
just keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly, just keep doing what you're doing as a team, and just push all the right buttons and do everything you could for one of your star players and playmakers. And if you do all that, then I think the Blue Jays have a chance to close out this series.
And obviously, the Dodgers will be hoping that Yamamoto will perform and extend this series into a Game 7. I think, Jack, you wanted to ask Mike about the Game 3 in that 18-inning game, if he's seen any parallels, historical precedent for that long of a game in the World Series, right, Jack? You wanted to ask Mike about that?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask Mike this question. Did you ever in your lifetime watch a 18-inning game of baseball?
Well, yes, as a matter of fact. It was a playoff game. It was at Nationals Park.
Ooh.
The Giants against the Nationals.
Wow.
Giants win it in 18 innings by hitting a home run.
Wow. You and Aunt Lori must be exhausted after spending a long day
We were
in the ballpark that season.
It was not a good night for for DC fans, but yeah. I have never seen a game that long in the World Series. But
yeah, I think maybe it's now with the current rules in the regular season where we don't get perhaps as long of a game, and obviously those rules don't extend to the postseason. It just becomes even more of a drastic change seeing that 18-inning game. But I mean, it makes for good theater, right? In these big playoff scenarios, particularly in the World Series, having that tight of an 18-inning game it was an exciting one for sure. And given
Yeah.
you know, the high level play of Otani and stuff like that. That was a crazy one for sure. But I mean, honestly, I think as we're sitting here today, game six at home with Toronto having the momentum, I think we need to give our predictions for how we think this series is going to close out here. I really am been impressed with the play of the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, we've said it here numerous times. They're hitting the ball extremely well. It's kind of gone under the radar, I think. I think a lot of the focus, national media attention on this series has been with the Dodgers, has been with Shohei Ohtani, rightfully so, doing some incredible things. But I mean, let's be honest, the Toronto Blue Jays have been the best team in the American League in the regular season. They've been the best team in the American League in this postseason, and they've been the better team so far in this World Series. So I think maybe we're overthinking this one. I think Toronto's going to win game six tomorrow night on Halloween. The ghost of Rogers Center is going to haunt the Los Angeles Dodgers, Jackson, and I think Toronto's going to win in six tomorrow night, man.
Yeah. You're not wrong there. Couldn't agree with you more. There. With your prediction. Well, for me, I got two words for you: Game Seven, winner take all. And I think
Personal
the
foul, personal foul. So you
and
think
so I
it'll go
think the
to a game
Dodgers
seven
are
then?
going to live another day, force a Game Seven.
Okay.
They find a way to bounce back after a loss. Dave Roberts always knows what he's doing with his ball club, and I think that he'll find a way to win in Game Six. No, force a Game Seven, but I think the Blue Jays, like they did in their game in the last round against the Mariners, are going to do the same exact thing. The place is going to explode. The crowd's going to go crazy. It's going to get loud, and I think the Blue Jays are probably going to win the winner take all game in Game Seven, and all of Canada is going to celebrate.
Wow. So you got Toronto in seven then, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Mike, how do you see this one playing out, man?
I agree with you, Blake. Toronto's going to win game six. Gosman is on the mound for the Blue Jays. Same starting pitching lineup as game two. Uh, Gosman pitched six and two-thirds innings in game two and only allowed four hits, no walks and six Ks. So Yamamoto pitched a whale of a game in game two, but Gosman also pitched a heck of a game as well. So they're both going head to head. Um, I just I just like the way the Blue Jays have been playing. Uh, yeah, the Dodgers only scored 3 runs in the last two games. They're hitting 214. Their pitching ERA is 4.58. So they're just not, that $400 million payroll for the Dodgers uh, isn't doing it for them.
No, and I think maybe would you argue maybe the top heaviness of this Dodgers lineup that might be coming home to roost here when you don't have the likes of Betts, Otani hitting home runs, driving in runs every
Yeah.
game. It tend to fall up short, whereas Toronto 1 through 9, you have to say, has been putting up
hmm
consistent hitting numbers this whole postseason, right?
Yeah. I mean, unless unless Mookie comes and figures it out, Freddie hasn't been hitting that well. He hit the home run to end game three, but he hasn't hit. And Muncy hasn't been hitting very well. Only batting 180, 188. So, I think the Blue Jays has done a whale of a job scouting these guys and getting their pitching staff up to snuff.
Absolutely.
The Dodgers had 3 wild pitches in the seventh inning last night,
You can't do that.
and you can't do that in the playoffs.
No, absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
just think, this is the first season that started outside of the United States, and the season will end outside of the United States.
Wow, that's a great fact. That's a great fact. Opening game in Korea, is that right? South Korea
Tokyo,
or Tokyo? Tokyo. Okay, very
the
nice.
Cubbies and the Dodgers.
Wow. So from Japan to Canada, this is really an
Canada,
international game, isn't it?
and it is.
That was like 8 months ago, back in March. Now I can't believe it came by so quickly, and now we're in the month of October. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beal Limberger, you have a prediction for how you think the World Series is going to play out here in the next two games while we have you here? He might be he might be away right now, so we'll check back in with him later. But let's jump, gentlemen, over to a little bit of college football. Obviously, we covered a big win, or we covered a big game for the Commodores last weekend, where College Game Day was there, the hype was there, and they came through and delivered against the Missouri Tigers. So now Vanderbilt has no rest in the SEC, do they? Uh, they will be hosting, or excuse me, traveling to Austin to take on the Longhorns in a top 25 matchup there at noon. So that will be a difficult away test for the ninth ranked Vanderbilt Commodores.
Well,
Um,
Manning may not play.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't checked the latest status on that, but
Yeah, he got a concussion last week.
to be honest, he's hasn't exactly put together an incredible season so far anyway, so it might not
No.
be the worst. I don't know who their backup is, um but yeah, that's certainly a big question mark there. Um Texas's defense has been strong. Maybe it's been the offense that's been a little bit more spotty these past couple weeks. To their credit though, Texas, I mean, they suffered the loss against Florida. That's bad. But since then, they've rallied with three straight victories. Granted, two of them were in overtime against Kentucky and Mississippi State. Both those games were away. So they're going to be up for a game at home in Austin, aren't they?
Hmm.
Particularly now against a top 10 ranked team.
Yeah.
So it's a big game. You can call it a trap game for Vanderbilt traveling. Texas is not in the East Coast time, by the way, so this game will be 11 o'clock local. So it's an early game. It's not particularly close traveling for Vanderbilt, so call it a trap game. But I'm confident that Clark Lee will get the guys up for this one. But Jack, what do you make of this matchup here, man?
Oh, this is huge. This is a big game. This is all going to come down to playoff predictions. Predictions. Down to because you think about it, Texas. Let's talk about Texas first. The Longhorns. So they were coming off their wins against Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry, and they beat out John Matera, and it was all Texas in that one. And they lost it at the Swamp in Florida, and we'll talk about them in a little bit in a little bit later in the show. But they were coming off a overtime thriller win on the road in Starksville in front of those cowbells against Mississippi State, which they were trailing in this game, and they came back from behind and won that game, which is crazy. I don't know how they pulled it off, but I think Steve Sarkisian, give him a lot of credit. He just finds ways to win the game, and that's really all he does right there. And so they had two overtime wins against Kentucky and Mississippi State, and then against Sam Houston prior to the season. But if I'm looking at this matchup, this game does have playoff prediction impacts. So this game is going to be huge for both teams. The way I look at it and view it. So starting off, the winner of this game is most likely going to stay alive in the hunt for the college football playoff. But the loser of this game will will um will probably not make it to the college football playoff. That's really the the way I see it because Diego Pavio, we know he has the most rush yards in all the SEC, but now you're going into a hostile environment. You're you are you are going to Texas in Austin against a very good Texas team. Yeah, Vanderbilt has had a great season so far, but I do think that if Texas were to win this game, but if Vanderbilt loses, then I'm sorry, but they're not, but they're out of the college football playoff conversation.
What?
But yep,
Hey, personal foul, personal foul.
But Texas, on the other hand, if they were to win this game, if they were to win this game and try to and then you try to win out the season and uh, and then looking ahead to the schedule, they after this game they go not looking ahead, but they go on the road to Georgia. They host Arkansas, and then the showdown between A&M, which the winner of this game goes to the SEC championship game, as it always does, dating back to last season. So for me, I'm sorry to say this, Blake,
Don't say it.
but well, I know you
Hey,
I know
try
you don't
me.
like it. I know you don't like it, Blake, but listen, Blake, I love your school as much respect that I do that I love your beloved Commodore team, but I have the Texas Longhorns winning this game by at least a few scores.
Few scores.
Well,
Oh
no, I
no.
said Texas is going to be winning this game by a couple of touchdowns. I think.
What?
Now, look, like you said, Arch Manning's
Hang
not
on,
playing
hang
this
on.
game,
I'm tired of hearing from you,
but
Mike. Give me some good news. Give me some good news. You've got Vanderbilt, right?
That's got to be an unsportsmanlike comment.
look, Mike,
It's a
15
15-yard
second
penalty. Now,
penalty.
Jackson, I want to hear Mike's opinion on this game. Mike, what do you think of this one?
No, Diego's going to do it. Vanderbilt will win by 5 points. It's going to be a tough game, but Texas is uh, not the Texas team that everybody thought they were back in August. So uh, Vanderbilt will win by 5.
I like it. I like it. I myself, unsurprisingly, have Vanderbilt by a field goal, so I do think it'll be a close game, Jack. I'm giving you a hard time. I think
yeah, I'm sorry.
Texas is a good football team. We'll see who's behind center for them on Saturday, won't we? But I just think Vanderbilt has passed the test against LSU, passed the test against Missouri. Obviously, I think the big critical factor here is that they're going away to Texas. Um, but they themselves are not quite maybe as motivated or happy about how their season has been going so far.
Yeah,
So uh, it's a winnable game, is what I mean. Like
right.
preseason, Texas was one. They're obviously not the best team in the country. It's not as daunting of a away day as it was maybe in August, right, on the schedule. So
Right.
it's a game there for the taking, Jack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you, and I do have Texas winning by at least 10 points.
Okay,
Of
two
yeah, so I
scores.
have yeah, two scores, 10 by 10 in this game. So that's really all I have. Yeah, I just think Texas' defense is pretty good, but you're well, let's face it, Blake. You're not at this game's not at Vanderbilt. You're taking the crowd out of it, and you're playing Texas Stadium. And I just think Bevo's going to be there, and they're going to
He's always
run
there.
all over the Commodores. And I'm sorry, Blake, but Texas is going to score a lot of points in your Commodores. I'm
I
sorry.
say we fry
I'm
up
sorry.
Bevo and
That's
put
just
him on some
that's
burgers,
just how it's
Jack.
going to be.
Was it we're putting Bevo on some burgers. Doors by three. Doors by three. I don't know, Beal Limburger, if you're joining us, you have a prediction for Vanderbilt, Texas, Arch Manning and whatnot. I think maybe we lost Beal.
Uh,
That's okay though.
B.L. Wamberger is not with us.
No worries, no worries. We'll move on to the next matchup, which is AKA, you mentioned it, Jackson. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party is the nickname for this matchup. Jackson won't say it as a minion, otherwise I'll put a personal foul because minions can't say the word cocktail. Um, but this is obviously a game, sees a yearly game. I mean, you have to say, been dominated by Georgia pretty much in this modern iteration of this matchup, isn't it? Um, and this year's edition is really no exception to that. Florida obviously have fired their coach they had at the beginning of the season, Billy Napier. Georgia is on track for another successful season, playoff berth, whatnot. But you know what they say about old rivalries, Mike. You know, you can throw the record out the door, throw the rankings out the door. Good old-fashioned rivals is tends to be what happens in this game. But I mean, you have to say it's tough to make the case for the Gators in this one, huh, Mike?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the post Napier era is going to start well for the Gators.
It's not an
I don't
easy
think it's
task.
yeah, I'm not really seeing this one being all that close, particularly
Yeah,
since particularly since the Dogs will be playing at home.
Yeah, Georgia have won the
yeah,
last four in this matchup, Jack. They're looking to make it five straight on Saturday, won't they?
yeah. Look, it looks to be that way, and I want to point out that Florida is in a total rebuild mode, and they're not the same, and they're not the same team than they were since they had Tim Tebow as quarterback in those days, because that was a different era of college football. That was way before the NIL transfer portal, and now you bring in Billy Gonzalez, who was on the Florida staff ever since 2003, I believe, when he was with the team down in Gainesville. But but to me, if Florida is going to have a chance in this game, that DJ Wagaway is going to have to play his best game. Otherwise, I still have Georgia winning this game in a blowout. They're going to score a lot of points in this game, and I have Georgia easily win this game. Why? Because they have a great defense, and they have Bollins and D.J. Branch, and Gunnar Stockton is the highest quarterback that they have in Athens, and those Georgia Bulldogs are going to get another win, and I have Georgia win this game in a blowout by 30 points. 30 points. And that's how I see this game going down. So yes, Georgia is going to keep so yes, Georgia is going to be on a 4-game winning streak, beating their rivals, and 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 they're going to beat those Gators. And for anyone who is part of this Gator football program, it's not the same as it used to be when they had Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier as a coach, but Mark Rick and Kirby Smart and those guys were by far, I think, the better coaches with Mike Stafford and those guys in this game, the history of this rivalry. So I think Georgia is going to win this game in a blowout. Now let's remember, next year this game will not be played in Jacksonville. This game will be played in Atlanta next year and in
Really?
Tampa the year after that. So
Why is that?
because they're doing some renovations down in the Jaguar Stadium down in Duval County. So
Well, I hope they're
that's
tearing it down.
they're not.
Oh,
They're just doing what I would call a makeover, remodeling. I would say so. So the history of so before we move on, Blake, I know we have to move on to the next topic, but the
please go ahead.
Georgia, yeah, of course. So the Georgia Florida rivalry, as far as I know, dates back from how I know this way back, which dates back to October 15th of 1954, where Georgia, if you think about it, Georgia leads the series overall, and how and so that's really what it all comes down to. But you think about it, they played the stadium in Stanford Stadium back in the 1932 to the mid 90s, Stanford Stadium and Stanford Stadium and Ben Griffin Stadium between 94 and 94 down in Gainesville. It was called the Gator Bowl before it was called the Jacksonville Everbank Field Stadium at the time. So you think about it, about this rivalry of how those two teams split apart between the fans from one side to the other. It's like those schools dislike each other, and you have to choose one side or the other. And fans who went to UF and UGA, and they all say the "Go Dogs, Go Gator" chants, and that's really all it comes down to, with some like more hatred and dislike teams going at it, which is really, and you think about it, there's always going to be a fight and brawl in this game. That's one of the reasons why those teams don't even like each other, and that's part of the rivalry and the history of those memories that Tim Tebow will, if he had him on, he would definitely tell you all about it.
We talked your ear
Since
off
he
about
played
that.
it, so yeah, and so he tell you the history of it, and yeah,
Well, I mean, that's what
from
college
one side to
football's.
the other, and yeah, the college football just lives the expectations. Other than Michigan, Ohio State, and the Red River rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas, between one of those rivalries, in all coach ball, but between those matchups and all college football, this one actually lives up to the hype, and I think is the most. I think is one of them that's on top of the list. So I think the Georgia Florida rivalry game and the world's largest after party is right up there.
For sure. That's what college football is really all about is these old rivalries. Like I said, not necessarily matchups past couple of years that have been between teams that are competitive, but matchups that are always fought with the history, the passion from the fans, the passion from the players, coaches, media, etc. So you never know. I'm certainly not going to pick the Gators in this one, but like we said, these passionate rivalries can end up producing some results that are different than you think. But Mike, I don't imagine you're picking the Gators in that one, but I do want to pick your brain on your upset pick of the week, or just a team that you think has a chance. Before, I don't know, I don't want to steal your thunder. Hopefully, this isn't the one that you were going to say, but
Hmm.
I've got a sneaky feeling, and maybe it's just because I'm located where this game is being held on Saturday, but I've got a sneaky feeling NC State is gonna surprise some people and
Yeah.
pull off an upset against an eighth ranked Georgia Tech team. I saw this team live against the Duke Blue Devils. I was not particularly impressed in the first half. The second half, the Yellow Jackets came and put the pressure on and pulled away. But that game was competitive in the first half. So it's a
Mhm.
night game at Carter Finley Stadium here in Raleigh. The NC State fans can make some noise, not necessarily a football powerhouse that we're used to, but I think that game could be due for an upset.
I would not disagree. That's another one that I was looking at, but I also have another upset in the ACC.
What?
Yes. SMU beats Miami.
Whoa. In in
Whoa!
Texas, huh?
Yeah, they're playing in Texas.
They're gonna get a rude Texas welcome, those Hurricanes are, huh, Jack?
They are, Blake,
Mustangs.
and you think about and the reason why they should be on upset award, the Hurricanes that is because they're leaving the state of Florida. They're going to be dealing with colder weather and chilly climates and temperatures that they're not so used to being for the um, not so used to being for their games being down in the Sunshine State. So it's going to be a totally different kind of feel and challenge and task ahead um, for uh, 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 for um, for the Hurricanes and so for me, when you're going on a road to a hostile environment, where the where the where the um, where the stakes are higher, I just think that the Hurricanes are going to have a hard time taking the crowd of it, going up against one of the team that can show up and show no quit and just keep things more competitive. But look, Miami can still put some points, but you're but you're but you're going to be going into a tough environment. It's just like in the NFL where the Miami Dolphins go to Kansas City and you're playing in snow, or in Lambeau Field, for example. It'll have that kind of feel, except it won't be snowing. But yeah, Mario Cristobal has the biggest test going happening for this Miami team because because yes, you go to SMU this weekend, but you have to go to Blacksburg and Virginia Tech after that, and then the season at Pitt. Ooh, that's going to be a rough finish for the Miami Hurricanes, and they're probably going to be
Well,
And
we'll
if I had
see.
to guess, and if I had to guess, they're probably going to be missing out a few spots out of the college football playoff race,
You think
and
Miami's
not making it.
gonna drop out of the playoffs?
Well, if so, let's say they will only if they lose to on the road. Let's say to Virginia Tech and Pitt. Then I think they're
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, it's
then I think they're going to
you're
be.
predicting a big collapse then, huh?
Yes, I am.
Okay, fair enough. And apparently it starts this weekend, according to Mike, in Dallas against the Mustangs. So keep an eye on that one for all you college football heads out there for sure. There's your upset of the week. Uh,
The one game we're not talking about
yeah,
yet
yeah.
is how about Oklahoma going on the road at Rocky Top in Knoxville, taking on Josh Heupel's alma mater, former team. Brett Venables and this Oklahoma team ever has a shot, then I think the way to do it is John Mateer, and if he plays a perfect game, it doesn't turn the ball over too much, then I think the Oklahoma Sooners have a chance to win this game because Tennessee's defense hasn't really shown me anything because of injuries and um and just giving up too many plays. But to me, I think it's not really an upset. But to me, I think the Oklahoma Sooners. It would be a very close game, but I think the Oklahoma Sooners have a shot going to the Neyland Stadium, taking the crowd of it, wipe the crowd at Neyland Stadium, take it out of you. And I think the Oklahoma Sooners, the Boomer Sooner, is going to go to Rocky Top and beat the Vols.
That's a big that's a big call, Jackson. I have to be honest with you. I think you're crazy. I'm gonna call a foul on this one.
Really? You're calling me crazy on this one? Am
Personal
I
foul,
crazy?
excessive Sooners on the minion. I got Tennessee in this one, Jack. I think you've lost it, man. I really do. I think this Oklahoma team is bang average. They haven't beaten anybody good. They beat Auburn team who now stinks. They beat a Michigan team who now stinks. I mean, they're okay, I guess, but they're not incredible. And they lost to Ole Miss. They lost to Texas. I just think going away to Knoxville, way too much of an ask for this Oklahoma team. I think they're a good team, not a great team. I don't know if you saw some of the chirping going on between Oklahoma head coach Brent Venables and Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin. Obviously, Lane Kiffin is no stranger to a little bit of media coverage and a good quote, isn't he? And they had a bit of verbal barbing going on after Lane Kiffin's team took care of business. I think Venables said that Oklahoma was the better team despite the loss to Ole Miss, and Lane Kiffin took exception to that. So certainly, Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss team is no stranger to a bit of fiery quotes after a game, and they're taking on Jack's Gamecocks as well this Saturday. But Mike, what do you make of this one? Oklahoma, Tennessee. I'm on the Vols. Jack's on the Sooners. You got to split us here, man.
All right. Well, Tennessee's offense is one of the highest scoring in the nation. And they're playing at home. I've got Tennessee in a close one. But I think the Vols will win this game by a field goal.
All right, you hear that, Jack? You're outvoted, my friend. Tennessee,
Yeah,
Tennessee's taking this one, man.
yeah. I don't.
First down, Tennessee.
Yeah,
Play on.
I mean, look, they're a tough team at home, but I just think that I just go back to their losses to what Tennessee gave up offensively to Mississippi State and Georgia,
What
and
about what
and
Oklahoma gave up to Mississippi and Texas?
well, yeah, I mean yeah, that's true,
Minion?
but I still think Oklahoma, if they don't, I'm only suggest if Oklahoma doesn't turn the ball, if Oklahoma doesn't turn the ball over, then they'll win the game. But if they don't, then I have them losing the game. It's really that simple.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. No, listen, I'm giving you a hard time. I think it's entirely possible Oklahoma could go into Knoxville and win that game. So that's certainly a big matchup to keep an eye on for sure. And I think Jackson, you mentioned as well, like College Game Day will be at Utah because they're taking on Cincinnati. Is
Yes,
that right?
Yes, they are taking on the Cincinnati Bearcats
So is
of
that like
what will
a
be a
Big 12 game or something?
yes. I
I
think
don't
it's one of
even
the
know where Cincinnati conference they're in or Utah, to be honest with you, man.
they I could well I can help you out. They are out in the Big 12.
Both Big 12 teams. Okay, interesting. Um, let's see. So you think that one will be Utah that uh takes that one, Jack?
Yes, actually I'm going to be leaning towards Cincinnati in this one.
Oh, you have the Bearcats.
I do.
Ah,
I have Travis Kelsey's former college team beating the Utah Utes in that game.
interesting. I feel like BYU is atop of the Big 12 along with Cincinnati. Utah is always kind of a tough place to go, aren't they? In terms of that college football landscape. But I don't know, Mike, what do you make of this matchup?
I think Utah's rushing attack will prevail in this one. I got Utah upsetting Cincinnati.
I gotta agree, man. I think I'm with the Utes on this one. I think they're really generating. They usually always generate a really good atmosphere for those games. I know that their matchup against BYU a couple weeks ago generated a lot of interest. They ended up losing that one in a close one to BYU, who they themselves would have fancied themselves to be playoff hopefuls, don't they? They're currently undefeated, like I mentioned, in the top of the Big 12. They got a big game against Texas Tech coming up here, not this weekend, but the weekend after that. So, Big 12, possibly the forgotten conference, you have to say, but there are still some teams there that
Mhm.
fancy themselves to be, playoff hopefuls. So, certainly,
Texas Tech's got to play Kansas State at Kansas State this weekend. They
absolutely.
can't they can't look past Kansas State.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can think if you're thinking of the best of the rest, so it's called BYU Texas Tech. That'd be a 10 versus 13 game when that happens. But like you
Hmm.
said, Texas Tech has to keep their sights focused in that Big 12 conference
Hmm.
with the game against the Wildcats. So don't want to overlook them for sure. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot of the big matchups that we have to look forward to here. Also, I think quick shout out to in the college football landscape to the Indiana Hoosiers, who quietly amassing a lot of votes for being the best team in the country. We should say, right? This Indiana team, it's certainly they're getting a lot of media attention. Their coach, Kurt Signetti, is getting a lot of media attention for his personality, or lack thereof, or so they taking on Maryland, but they don't have any ranked opponents on the rest of their schedule.
Yeah.
So, uh, Mike, we're looking at a scenario where Indiana could be going into the playoffs. If Ohio State is undefeated, then maybe they won't get the top seed. But we're looking at possibly Indiana being a top two team in the country going into the playoffs. I mean, you probably didn't think that was going to happen before the start of the season, did you?
No, absolutely not. But they've been playing good football, and you know, I don't see Maryland providing them too much of a problem. But you got another game coming up. You got Duke at Clemson this weekend.
In football,
Yeah,
I didn't know they were playing each other.
Not
yeah.
bowling, is it? No, yeah. That's unfortunately for the ACC, it's not really much of a
The 4-3 Duke team will play the Tigers at 3-4. Who
it's a
would have
bit of
thought that Clemson would be 3-4?
it's a bit of a sorry state, the ACC, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, Duke's only is 3-1 in the ACC. They only lost one game, but yeah, Clemson is really reeling themselves, and Georgia Tech and Virginia, probably the two
Hmm.
strong teams in the conference.
Who would have
So
thought that Virginia would be a strong team?
yeah, they're ranked 15th right now.
Yeah.
Currently they're traveling out to California this weekend, so we'll see how that goes. But if they are able to take care of business in the remaining games they have,
Hmm.
they could easily take a claim for a playoff position. And there's no championship game for the ACC as well. It just a regular season. I'm fairly confident that's the case
Yeah.
with the current iteration of the ACC.
Hmm. And in other NCAA news, LSU fired Brian Kelly on Sunday.
Oh yeah, gosh, I totally forgot, Jackson. You had mentioned that you wanted to touch upon some of the coaching changes, and that's
Yes,
obviously
yes, I
the big
do.
one, right?
And did you guys hear that they? Did you guys hear that Coach Ed Orgeron, the Cajun voice, wants to return to LSU? Well,
I'm
I'm
sure he
hearing
does,
reports
but
that he doesn't that he's not ruling it out and could be
oh,
a
I'm ruling it out.
possible candidate against LSU. But on the political side, which we never cover on the show, that the LSU that the Louisiana governor does is not a fan of any kind of coach that's available in the carousel, and he suggests Steve Strickland should not be the head coach of LSU. And then I'm also hearing rumors that maybe the college game day color analyst Nick Saban should return to coaching at LSU. Maybe that could be a possibility, but I don't know if I see that happening. But I wouldn't rule it out. With James Franklin out, with Penn State and Florida and LSU being a better job than Florida, Penn State just no, which was a which to me completed a anyone that's complete shock to me that nobody even saw this coming with James Franklin out as head coach, but now in a rebuild mode. But yeah, things are going crazy for in the world of college football for during the in season mid coaching change, which is it's crazy. It's really mind boggling crazy.
Yeah. The other thing that's complicating the LSU is LSU does not currently have a president.
Mm, interesting.
So somebody has
So,
to head up the search committee, don't they?
yeah. Yeah. So, it'll be tough to fill that one just for non-football reasons.
Well, they're going to have their work cut out for them. I know
Hmm.
we have two pretty big openings in college football, the likes of LSU and Florida. Um,
And Penn State.
well, Penn State as well, you have to say.
Yeah.
They're one of these teams that spends a lot of money, and nowadays with the NIL pooling going on, we got some big openings, Jack. So I'll ask you, Jack, if you were a head coach, would you prefer the LSU job, the Florida job, or the Penn State job, Jack, if you had to pick one of those?
If I had to choose one of the three, I would have to lean and give the edge to LSU because of why because you're part of the culture. You want to be part of the Saturday night in the Tiger Walk and at Death Valley. What no better place to than the Louisiana State University, where you can recruit well, and it's a great coaching job other than Alabama. But I think that LSU is a place to be where you've won so many national championships as a school, where you had so much history involving with being played on Saturday night at Death Valley, and what no and what no and what better way and what better way to start your career than Death Valley, and no place that's like Death Valley at Saturday night. So LSU for me.
Mike, you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. Um, they're certainly getting would get the recruiting nod in Louisiana and
The
surrounding areas.
monetary aspect as well, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think they certainly seems like they spend the most amount of money they have, um, the most going for them, I would say. Uh, So I think they're going to be going big game hunting in Baton Rouge, I would say. Lane Kiffin, who I mentioned earlier, the Ole Miss coach, will be one of the names I think people are looking after from that perspective. So certainly keep an eye on that one, and we'll be seeing some big names being floated for a lot of these big jobs. But I want to jump to a little bit of NFL chat here before we jump. And I have to say the state of the NFL is pretty interesting right now. We've got a lot of teams that are solidifying their position last week. I don't think we had any, particularly crazy, results last week, given what we've seen so far in the NFL. I think probably the big matchup that a lot of people had their eyes on was that Green Bay Pittsburgh game. And obviously Green Bay ended up pulling ahead in that one, and they're kind of solidifying their position atop of the NFC North, with Detroit just clipping on their heels there. But this weekend we got some pretty big games to look forward to. We'll get to the Seahawks traveling to Washington in a second, but Kansas City, Buffalo, I guess these teams seem to play every year, it seems like, don't they? Regular season, and then probably matching up in the postseason close after as well. But this is, AFC battle, Buffalo, who actually have a bit of a tough competition right now. They're second in the AFC East, as Jackson, I'm sure you're well aware, behind Drake May's Patriots. But I still expect them to be the class of the AFC East. Perhaps not the class of the AFC. We can't discount Daniel Jones's Colts, can we? Indiana Jones and his Colts looking like the team to beat in the AFC, surprisingly enough. But I think Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Listen, Jackson, we got to be honest here. They took care of business against Mike's Commanders last Sunday night, didn't they? I didn't want to bring it up, but I mean, that game wasn't particularly competitive, was it? And I know Mike must have been sad, Jack, but the Chiefs look like they're really on a good bit of momentum here. Are they still your pick to come out of the AFC, or do you think some of the other teams, Colts, Broncos, maybe they're for real?
I think yeah, I still have the Chiefs taking the AFC West. The Broncos will be right there. I think it'll be a very competitive division.
Personal foul.
The Chargers are
Lack
just
of respect for Bo Nix.
I know, but the Chargers are kind of out of it a bit. But I think the Broncos are going to are going to be right there with them. But I'm still sticking with the Kansas City Chiefs to take the AFC West. But right there, standing their way with them, I have them neck to neck with Jonathan Taylor and Indiana Jones, and the Colts are right there with them. Peyton Manning's former team, they're going to be right there. But I do think that Kansas City will have the edge in that game once they do play sometime later season. But the Chiefs are now, look, no respect to the Patriots, but they had a great career, especially when they're running with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels and those veteran guys. But I still think the Kansas City Chiefs will still be the team to beat in the Super Bowl, whether you like it or not. They're still the Chiefs, and really about the games, and your point about the Chiefs and about the Chiefs games against Buffalo. A few words I've got to add for you on that. Those matchups in the postseason between the Bills and the Chiefs is all about beating David versus Goliath. That's what this game comes down to every single postseason. Like year after year, Josh Allen and Sean McDermott somehow just can't get over the hump. Year after year, this happens postseason. Like every single time it happens, they'll never make it. Nor Josh Allen will never make it to his lifetime. Which is why Patrick Mahomes is really becoming a problem for pretty much, I think, for pretty much anyone in the AFC, which is really ruining the conference, I think, because of how dominant the Chiefs are, and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo and Chris Jones and spectacular, and the Chiefs' defense is really why the Chiefs beat the Bills in the postseason rather than in the regular season, and that's a fact, not a fiction, if you really want to put it. But really, why the Chiefs keep beating the Bills? And your question, Blake, why the Chiefs beating the Bills in the postseason? It all comes down to, like I said, David versus Goliath. That's what, and they can't beat Goliath, and that's really why the Bills lose in heartbreak year after year to the Chiefs, and that trend is probably going to continue.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, the game on Sunday is in Buffalo, to be fair.
And
But
and and of course, this game will be the last game played at Highmark Stadium, and then it will be demolished and implode after that. But yeah, and then one more thing before we move on, Blake, is that Patrick Mahomes is not a fan of the Bills Mafia, and that's the reason why the Chiefs are against it, and that's something that we should keep our eye on.
No.
Yeah. So there's that.
4 words. Give Cook the ball.
Especially for my fantasy team, I agree with you, Mike.
And if you and Mike, if you go back to the Bills game against the Panthers, where James Cook ran all over and they blew out the Panthers in that stadium last week, and Blake Lumberger's team, the Panthers, just got in a blowout, and then he even scored touchdowns in that game. And Bill ran all over in that game last week, and that was really the difference in that game. So I hope Bill Lumberger was listening, but that was really the difference in their game last week.
Yeah.
But this Sunday, it's going to be a whole different task against Andy Reid and those Kansas City Chiefs.
Absolutely. I think Buffalo is going to win this game, but I don't want to make any sweeping statements as to who's going to win the war for the AFC, given I think obviously Kansas City has a lot of momentum. They saved themselves for the playoffs. So big matchup in the AFC, but lots of football to be played, right? Jackson, we should touch upon the Seattle Seahawks, team that close to our heart. We saw them live last year. We went to Seattle. We saw a game. They're traveling from Washington to Washington. What's going on there? Yes, the state of Washington to Washington, D.C. to take on Mike's, well, I want to call them lowly Commanders. And I think, unfortunately, given their 3-game losing streak, that's kind of an accurate statement. But Seattle coming in here with a lot of momentum against the Commanders. But, Mike, we have to say the Commanders are expecting Jayden Daniels to be back for this game on Sunday night. Does that give you hope for this matchup?
It does. They're a different team with Jayden. Jayden plays. The offense will click, and the Commanders will surprise everybody and win this game.
Wow. You hear that, Jack?
Yeah, I don't know about that, Mike, because you think about it, Mike
Personal
McDonald
foul.
and the Seattle Seahawks
He's a homer.
Are a great team on the road than they are at home when they play at Lumen Field, because here's why. Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks are going to be he's going to be run the ball a lot, and the Seahawks, Bobby Wagner, who I don't know if you know, he was Dan Quinn's defensive coach when they were all in with the Seahawks together. But now Dan Quinn now on the opposing sideline, going to be seeing him against Bobby Wagner and those Seahawk players. The Seattle defense is going to be going and going to be is going to be drawing out some plays and going and sacking and going all over Jayden Daniels, and the Seahawks are going to be making some big plays. And I'm sorry, Mike, but the Commanders are going to be out with Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, in this game. But now you have Jayden Daniels as the quarterback. That's great, but JC, in order for the Commanders to have a chance, they got to go JC McCoy, Merritt, and really Bob Wagner's back with the Commanders now, but really I think for the Commanders to have any kind of chance, they can't turn the ball over and fumble it too much, because let's face it, part of the reason why the Commanders find themselves at 3-5 is because a few things. One because of injuries. One because of one because be one because of
Injuries, right?
well, yes, because of well, yeah, because of well,
Big
yeah,
factor.
well, yes, it is because of injuries of one of their players, of one of their players of you know of the team that I.
Well, yeah, so they're missing Jayden Daniels, and Terry McLaurin's been a bit banged up, hasn't he?
Right.
So
Yeah, well,
lots of
Three
yeah,
out of the
these
four
well, yeah,
players have been
well,
banged
defensive
up.
well,
ends
Yeah.
have
I'm
been
sorry I had to
injured.
pause here, but my point is they are missing. The reason why they're 3-5 is because they're missing Austin Eckler and torn Achilles. They
Hmm.
traded away Brian Robinson Jr. to the Jaguars, and the second thing why the Commanders are off to a 3-5 start is because of their strength of schedule. If you remember last year, when they were on this magical playoff run, well, their schedule was easier last year. This year is different because every season is different. That's really part of the reason why the Commanders are find themselves in that position. So really, in order for the Commanders to have a chance, they have to just not turn the ball over too much against the Seattle defense, which you cannot do, and you got to score a lot of points against the Seattle defense. Otherwise, I have our Seahawks. I'm sorry, Mike, but I have your Seahawks beating Jackson Smith and Jimba, going to make big plays on third down. Kenneth Walker and those guys, the biggest playmakers of the Seattle team, they are going to be making some big plays, and they are going to beat your Commanders and the Seahawks, and the Seahawks are going to go to DC. The crowd's going to travel very well, and the Seahawks are going to quiet the crowd at FedUp Field in Landover, Maryland, and they are going to beat up your Commanders in a two-score game. Two-score
Wow.
games. Seahawks win by final score. The Seahawks um, 27, Commanders 19.
Well, Mike, he just tore apart your Commanders there, man. I
He
mean, what do you even
did.
have to
He
say about
did.
that? Uh,
Well, you know,
it could be a big bounce back game for your Commanders, though.
yeah,
Obviously,
not
having Daniels back, they need to get back on the wagon at some point.
to
So
quote the other Blake, not so fast.
there you go. There you go.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
All right.
And real
Yeah,
quick
Jackson, we're out
before
of
we
time,
get
man.
out of here, but I know we're out of time. But real quick before we get ourselves out of here, for example, football game tonight, I have the Ravens winning, and 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 the reason why because Mike McDaniel is 0-4 on First Night Football, and the Ravens are going to bounce back. They get Lamar Jackson back this week after being out since December 28th because of injury, and I think Lamar Jackson, he is Lamar Jackson. He is going to be returning to the state of Florida where he grew up and he was born, not far in nearby Pompano Beach, Florida. And Lamar Jackson is going to get the win on Thursday Night Football in his home state against the Dolphins. And the Ravens are going to get back on track and stay in the fight in the race of the AFC North to be one team to chase down the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Ravens will get the win, and they will stay alive in the AFC North race.
That's fair enough. I agree with you there. I think Baltimore needs to get some momentum going. Obviously, without Lamar Jackson, it's difficult for them, but this is sort of the turning point for them to get going here. They got some easy games, Browns, Jets, Bengals coming up. So yeah, no, I'm with you, Jack, on that one. Good prediction as well. I think another game keep an eye on Sunday is the Colts taking on the Steelers as well. Steelers bouncing off that tough loss against Green Bay on Sunday night. They're hosting the upstart impressive Colts there as well. So that's a big AFC
Yeah.
playoff picture game there as well. So some fun games to look forward to on Sunday for sure.
The Steelers give up the third highest number of big plays.
They can't play any defense right now, can they?
They no. Indiana Jones will tear them up.
I agree. Yeah, I think Colts should be licking their chops there, the offense there, given what they've seen from that Pittsburgh defense for sure, for sure. All right. Well, I think that just about sums it up here for our Halloween episode, fellas. We got some great costumes, some great takes. I had to call a couple of personal fouls on Minning and Woodstock, so I hope you guys don't mind too much. But I think we covered a lot of ground, and we got some good sports to look forward to as we close out October here, and we got an exciting couple of months left of 2025. So, fellas, I want to thank you for joining us. Happy Halloween to everyone watching and listening, and have a great weekend.
Great. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Bye now.